See here the magic quadrant. Quadrant because it has 4 parts to it. On the left hand side you'll see the effect size, and at the bottom you'll see the NAPLAN scale score. This particular quadrant is the effect size versus the NAPLAN scale score, looking at the children who sat the Year 3 reading test and the same children 2 years later in grade 5. So all these little blue dots represent a child who sat both tests. If they didn't sit one of the tests, they're not in this data set. And you can see that what I'm going to show you by using these lines is that if I grab this line here and I put it across there, this is the average effect size of an Australian student. You can see that's about 1 on this scale going up. So that's the average. So anything above that line, the blue or the green, is above average. And anything below that line is below average growth between the 2 years. So if we put this one in here, this is showing the scaled score. Now anything above, past this line to the right, is a high scale score, and anything that is to the left is a low scale score. So by use of those two graphs, that's how they create the quadrant, and that therefore means that if I put that dot in the middle there, that represents the average Australian student because it's average growth in effect size and average scale score. So that's where the average child in Australia sits. So if we have a look at the different elements of the graph, this pink zone, you can see over here, says below national effect size and below national attainment average. So these are the kids who have got both a low scale score and not good growth. Whereas if we come over to this graph here, this aspect of the quadrant, they have good scale scores, but they don't have good enough growth. So these people might be those children that cruise along. If we look up here, we have a high scale score and good growth. So these are the kids who are flying along. And over here in the blue, we have a low scale score. But the really good part of this is that all these students in these blue dots, in this blue quadrant, have got really good growth because they're above average growth and cause for celebration.